Now I just have to make sure I walk from my kitchen into my den, and then my camera works.
Chair Boffman, we just received an email that Karthik is not able to attend, just FYI.
Got it. Okay. Jackie, did you hear anything from Ratuja, or is my screen, is she here?
I don't see Ratuja, or I haven't heard anything from Ratuja, and then we're also waiting for one of our other new commissioner.
Yeah.
Black.
We'll give it just another second or two here to see if maybe at least Ratuja jumps on with us.
I apologize. I just got another email from Karthik. He just accidentally deleted the invitation, and he is planning on attending. I just resent him the link, so he should be on in just a couple minutes.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. Now we got Karthik.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Karthik. All right, I see Ratuja joined us too. Good. So let's get started this evening. I'll call this February 4th Sammamish Planning Commission meeting to order. And we are doing it virtually, continuing to do it virtually. So let's get started. We have an interesting, I think, discussion this evening. Jackie, do you want to read the meeting accessibility statement?
Sure. We do already have two callers on the line as well. Pursuant to the Governor's Emergency Proclamation 20-25, the city is unable to provide in-person location for the public to listen to the virtual Planning Commission meeting this evening. Meetings are still accessible to the public, and public comment can be submitted. Up to 3 minutes of verbal public comment may be provided for non-agenda items live during the meeting. In order to provide verbal public comment, you must call in. Please call the following number and input the access code when prompted. The phone number is 1-872-240-3311, and the access code is 699-839-229. Once you have joined, you'll be placed on mute, and the meeting operator will unmute you when it is your turn to comment. You will hear an automated voice say unmuted when that occurs, and the operator will ask you to begin your comment. Please hang up when your comment is complete.
Great, thank you. So the first thing we normally do at this point is roll call. But since this evening we have a couple of new commissioners, maybe I'll do the roll call, and since Karen, I think you're the only one with us, we'll wait till you last. And if you can maybe give us just 30 seconds about yourself, that'd be great, and I'll do you last. Okay, so for roll call, when I call your name, please unmute, raise your hand, and say present or here or Seahawks or whatever you want to do. So Mark Baughman, present. Bertucci Indipure.
Present.
Josh Amato.
Here.
Mike Bresco.
Here.
Karthik Sitaraman.
Yes, here.
And Karen Malcolm, welcome.
I'm here. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Happy to meet all of you, and really looking forward to seeing how we do business here. I'm kind of looking forward to that. I've been a resident here for 3 years. I came here via invitation by my daughter and her family to help them transition to a move from Connecticut, so a cross-country move. The deal was 6 months, and I've been here 3 years, so that says a lot about Sammamish. I like it here, so I want to do what I can to help make things better.
That's great. Welcome to the Planning Commission. We look forward to having you involved. And then I should mention, we also have Thorin, I think it's Levy. I may be pronouncing his last name wrong. And I don't believe we have him unless he is on here and I don't see him. But hopefully we'll get that sorted out. Oh, wait a second. I see him. There he is. All right, so Thorin, can you, first off, tell me how to pronounce your last name so I do it right? Oh, I'm not hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Now I can hear you.
Yeah, my last name is pronounced Labby.
Labby, got it. Can you just like 20 to 30 seconds about yourself for the commission?
Sure. So my name is Thorin. I go by TC. That's generally easier for people to pronounce. I've been up on the plateau for probably about, I think, 5 or 6 years. My wife and I relocated here with our 2 young boys. They're not as young anymore. They're 8 and 10 now. Spent a lot of time outside, and by trade, I am a solution architect for a technology company. So I design IT infrastructure systems for municipalities, state and local government, media and entertainment, oil and gas, genomic customers. So really across the board, all the way up into the Fortune 100. So yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Great, welcome.
Thank you.
So TC is the way to go, right?
Yes, generally the easiest way to get my attention.
Okay. Karen and TC, welcome to the Planning Commission.
Thank you.
All right. Next is approval of the agenda. Anybody have any comments about this evening's agenda? Okay, then we'll call the agenda approved by common consent. Next is approval of the minutes from our January 21st meeting, from our last meeting. Any comments in review of the meeting minutes from January 21st? I see some heads shaking back and forth. So I think that means no comments or corrections. So we'll call the minutes from the January 21st meeting approved by common consent. Next, we have non-agenda public comments. Jackie, are you going to read the statement again, or should we just go to the public comment?
I apologize. I read the non-agenda public comment statement already. We have had it up on the screen, and we do have a caller already, so I'll go ahead and unmute our first caller. Go ahead and begin your comment whenever you're ready.
Hi, this is Mary Wichter, and I've lived in Sammamish 20 years. I just wanted to welcome the new commissioners and all the returning ones. I feel that you guys do a great job and very important for the city, and you also listen well. I know in the past that the Planning Commission has talked about and kept the public comment at 3 minutes for non-agenda and also 7 minutes usually near the end for the agenda comment, and I think that's excellent because it gives people a chance to say. And for those of you who haven't listened to a lot of public comment before, one thing I suggest is a lot of times when we say things, we can't actually get it done. But if there's something that you hear that you like or don't like and you want to get it to move forward, if you write it down and you speak up about it, then it can get mentioned to staff and it can be directed or a recommendation so that it would go forward and people would look at it and have it go to City Council with for hopeful inclusion in the future. So really the ideas can come from anywhere, they can come from any people, and you guys are sort of the switch that would move things forward. And I do want to say that when you listen to public comment, sometimes you don't want to hear the person or you don't agree with them or they're hard to hear. But if you listen really well, usually there's something that you'll learn or something that they'll say that might even trigger something exactly opposite, because we've had code changes where exactly the opposite of what the input was done right. We've had code changes where deleting 3 words actually opened up things instead of adding more words. So I just want to thank you guys for your attention, all the work that you do, the considerations, and the great recommendations that you give to City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. And I will hand it back over to Chair Boffman. That was our only caller.
Great. Thanks, Jackie. Okay, next we move into our new business for this evening. First is very exciting. It's an election of chair and vice chair. So I will start out by saying that there's no clear rule
obvious reasons. So that we could respond to the pandemic and what that meant for the staff, for continuing public services, and for supporting our community. During this time, when we were not meeting with the Planning Commission, city leadership, including David and I, were really focused on transitioning staff from working in the office to working remotely. And as I mentioned, we're a pretty large department. So that was making sure our staff had their equipment, laptops, access to the city servers, obviously security issues, a lot of coordination with other departments, including emergency management. And I will say this was a period of time that none of us have ever experienced in our careers. And we were able to transition very quickly, and I'm very proud of the effort that the city staff put into doing this transition, but still keeping the lights on at City Hall. It was a chaotic time last March. And we went into quarter two pretty much having to adjust to the governor's orders. And as you recall, at that time, those were changing constantly. We weren't sure when we'd be able to do, meetings, city council, planning commission, all the other commissions. And so we were addressing that, as well as the need to develop new internal processes and practices to protect frontline staff. So we knew from a public health, safety, and welfare perspective, we needed to keep building inspections moving forward. And so we developed new processes and procedures for virtual inspections. And we had those developed in 36 hours, and inspections continuing after, I think, 2 days of no inspections, continuing with the new process in place. We also developed new procedures for our administrative staff, for our frontline staff, Jackie and Tony, at the front counter. With that said, during all of that change and response to COVID, we were able to host our first Popcorn with Planning, not in person, obviously, but virtually. And we were able to provide information and answer questions on tree removal 101. On quarter three, we started to adapt to this new normal as best we could, which meant we could pick up and dust off the 2020 work program and focus on those priority projects that included presenting to you in July an overview of the Phase 2 development regulations, taking updates to the electrical code and flood damage ordinance to the City Council for review and adoption. We also hosted another Popcorn with Planning on permitting for small construction projects, and started to process and review applications for the 2021 annual docket. In quarter four, the Planning Commission schedule started to look a little bit like normal, and you guys reviewed and held a public hearing, deliberated, and made a recommendation to City Council in the 2021 docket. The Planning Commission also considered more updates to the wireless communication facilities code, and started to review and provide feedback on the Phase 2 development regulations. And in quarter four, staff began work on developing our 2021 work program, which we just presented last month to the City Council, and which Evan is going to present to you here in the following slides. Before he does, I do want to let the Planning Commission know our work program was really well received by the City Council in January. And we're really excited about this work program. We're going to be picking up some projects that we had to put on hold in 2020 and get those projects through review with the Planning Commission and City Council, and also pick up some new projects. But the City Council is meeting on February 16th to review that work program. So just a caveat, we could see more projects added to the work program. And we'll know more after next week's City Council meeting, and we'll keep you all updated on that, what changes for sure. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Evan.
Great. Thank you, Kelly. So I will briefly go over each of the projects that are currently on the 2021 Planning Commission calendar. As Kelly stated, there's always a possibility that some of these may get shuffled around. But as of now, this is what we're anticipating for y'all to see in the coming year. So one of the first projects on Planning Commission's calendar is the Phase 2 Development Regulations Update. This project focuses on updating specific sections of the city's development regulations and addresses issues and problem statements identified by city staff, our consultant team at Framework, and through stakeholder engagement. As part of the Phase 2 Public Engagement Plan, a community advisory group comprised of residents, developers, and design professionals was assembled to provide input on the priority issues addressed in the update. On March 4th, staff will be presenting the list of these issues and will be asking the Planning Commission for feedback and guidance on the draft solutions the project team have been developing. This project is led by DCD's director, David Pyle, and managed by Sarah Istiri and myself while Sarah is out on maternity leave. And we are getting subject matter help from our senior planner, Chris Hankins. The Urban Forest Management Plan, Strategic Implementation Plan, or SIP, is another item first up on the Commission's calendar. The SIP is how we make the goals and objectives of the Urban Forest Management Plan actionable. The SIP creates a framework for completing this work by utilizing 3 tools: the Implementation Strategies Matrix, biannual urban forest work plans, and the State of the Urban Forest Report. On March 4th, staff will be presenting the new implementation actions that have been proposed using our public engagement tool on Connect Sammamish, as well as the draft of the 21-22 work plan. We will be asking the Planning Commission to provide feedback on the implementation actions included in the work plan, as well as if you believe the implementation strategies matrix is comprehensive. Kelly and I have been working on developing the SIP along with help from our consultant, Ian Scott, at Davie Resource Group. In addition to Phase 2 Development Regulations Update and the SIP, the Planning Commission will also be reviewing Stormwater Code updates this spring. This update will address amending the SMC to require a declaration, of a developer's intent to request a drainage adjustment as part of the land use entitlement process. This was discussed at Tuesday night's City Council meeting, and staff will be providing Planning Commission with an introduction on this topic on February 18th, as well as a review of the scope of work. This project will be a partnership between DCD and Public Works, led by David Pyle, Danica Globakar, and Chris Hankins. As we move towards the spring and summer months, Planning Commission will begin the community visioning process. With the comprehensive plan update just a few years off, staff are beginning the work of understanding what the community's priorities are, as well as areas of agreement and disagreement within the community to begin shaping a vision for the 2024 comprehensive plan update. This work will rely heavily on community engagement and facilitating conversations between many stakeholder groups. Miriam Leitner, our planning manager, will be leading this effort and will be coming before the Planning Commission in the second and fourth quarters of 2021. In the fall months, the Planning Commission will begin review of the 2022 annual docket requests. The annual docket is a process for updating language in the city's comprehensive plan and development regulations. Anyone may submit a docket proposal using the city's online tool. All proposed amendments are reviewed by the Planning Commission and City Council before being added to the following year's docket. Any items that are docketed will go through legislative review before being implemented in the development regulations or the comprehensive plan. The city accepts docket proposals up until the first Monday of August, at which point staff will begin working with the applicants to review the proposals. In October and November, I will be bringing any proposed docket items before the Planning Commission for review. Last but not least, in the summer and fall months of 2021, the Planning Commission will be reviewing Title 23 code updates. Title 23 regulates civil code compliance and gives teeth to the city's regulations. This update will encompass language changes that will streamline the administrative processes and procedures so staff can more efficiently and effectively enforce the city's code. DCD project manager Lindsay Osbolt will be leading this project and will be asking the Planning Commission to review and recommend these updates in quarter 3 and 4 of this year. Lastly, here is an overview of the projects we just discussed, broken out by quarter. Again, the first 2 quarters will be working on the UFMP, Strategic Implementation Plan, Phase 2 Development Regulations, and Stormwater Code updates. As we move to the spring and summer months, we'll shift to community visioning, Title 23 updates, and the annual docket process, which will carry us through the end of the year. To wrap things up, we will do a year in review of 2021, as well as a sneak peek of what's coming in 2022. All right. That's a look at what's coming this year, and we are happy to answer any questions you have about the items we just went over.
Well, Evan, let me start off by saying how excited I am that you're going to be our new liaison. You have some big shoes to fill, but we'll be pretty hard on you just to get you trained up as part of the Planning Commission liaison.
Oh, I appreciate it. That's appreciated.
I'm really looking forward to 2021. All right. Anyone from the commission have questions about what Evan walked through for 2021?
No question. I'm sure Chair Bachman is excited that the 5G upgrade is out of the way. It looks like we spent the whole year on that last year. No, I think the work plan looks manageable and also something that I know as a commission we've been really interested in, especially the urban forest plan and especially the strategic actions that we wanted to take. I think I'm personally very excited about that. I know in the first round of the development code, the commission did some really good work, which affected the community in positive ways. So looking forward to seeing that phase as well, as we go ahead. And the best part, I think, for me was the slide with all your avatars. They look fantastic. So good job on putting the presentation together.
If I only had another couple hours, there would have been avatars for the Planning Commission too, but I ran out of time. Next year.
Okay, anybody else with comments or questions?
I have a question about the docket request timing. I realize it's likely set in stone, but I'm just curious about the timing of the docket requests. We get some good docket requests that come in, they get brought to Planning Commission, they look like they're good things to send to the council, but the response is often it's not in the work plan or it's not in the budget. So it just feels like the docket requests come too late in the city process. It feels like we're docketing things that really usually just end up the year after rather than the year that we're actually docketing for. Is there a way to adjust the timing so that the council can have budget conversations and work plan discussions, taking those docket requests into consideration? That might be a big haul, but I don't know.
Actually, Commissioner Amata, it is not a big haul. It's one of those things that I've been dreaming of and wishing for a very long time. I find it interesting that we go through a long period of, and especially like what we do as staff to prepare for that budget request for the biennial budget is a lot of work. And what you're not seeing on that work plan is all that other stuff that we do, which is why I wanted to show you our org chart and our responsibilities. But we put a lot of work, and it's a lot of guessing, and to say the least. For example, with the UFMP, we hadn't even adopted an implementation strategy, but I didn't want to miss an opportunity to get some funding for those implementation strategies that we identify through this process and City Council approves for us to work on. I didn't want to lose an opportunity or time because we didn't have a budget. So I put a best guess forward on what that could look like, and we ended up getting $150,000. So ideally, I would really like to see, a budget and a work program being developed together. I think that gives us more assurances as staff and as a city council on what is achievable and what we can actually do. Because you're right, we have a docket request. It is required by the RCW to have this annual docket process. But the reality is we don't always have budget and staff resources, and it is really hard for us to try to find that within our current system. But if we could align that with the budget ask, then it's just more information to make those decisions. So I know as staff we've been talking about that and seeing how we can facilitate that conversation. So hopefully more to come on that. So I absolutely 100% agree with you.
Okay, thank you. That's all I've got.
Yeah.
I have a quick question on the Title 23 updates. So are we going to be tackling just certain subsections of that, or is that where are the updates really happening?
So right now, that's what we're actually starting to work on, is developing that scope of work. Just a little history. Title 23, I do not believe has been updated since 2013, but in the meantime, we've updated sign code regulations, tree ordinances, development updates, and what we're challenged with our code compliance team is that there's not always a mechanism to address that in Title 23, which is what we legally need to lean on to bring folks that have not followed the code into compliance. And so there is a lot of administrative processes that need to be updated, as well as some conversations on how you handle garbage cans in the right of way, basketball hoops in the right of way. And so we need to have a really in-depth conversation on that. Staff is starting to work on that scope of work. And we plan on bringing this, I'm going to go off memory here because I've been working on this work program for a while here. We'll be introducing this to the council in May and getting some direction from them before we bring this to the Planning Commission to start that review. So I'll keep you all informed, or Evan will keep you all informed when that does go to City Council. So for those who are interested in this work, can listen into that conversation, and we'll get our direction from them and bring that work to you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I'll say that I think that Evan did a nice job of presenting a deceivingly easy-sounding set of topics, but some of these are actually quite heavy lifts. I think that we'll find that there's potential for some of these, particularly stormwater, for example, to be much more involved than what it may sound. So I'm looking forward to having a productive year with the Planning Commission. All right, anything else? Can we move on? Great. Yeah, I really want to make sure too, Evan, that you send out at least that slide that has everybody's avatars on it. That's a good one we need to be able to refer back to in the future.
Absolutely.
Or maybe just put it at make sure at the front of every presentation.
That would be great. I like that idea. Consider it implemented.
All right. Okay, let's move on to agenda-related public comment. Jackie, let's do the agenda public comment.
Thank you. Pursuant to the Governor's Emergency Proclamation 20-25, the city is unable to provide an in-person location for the public to listen to the virtual Planning Commission meeting this evening. Meetings are still accessible to the public, and public comment can be submitted. Up to 7 minutes of verbal public comment may be provided for agenda topics live during the meeting. In order to provide verbal public comment, you must call in. Please call the following number and input the access code when prompted. The phone number is 1-872-240-3311, and the access code is 699-839-229. Once you have joined, you'll be placed on mute. The meeting operator will unmute you when it is your turn to comment. You will hear an automated voice say unmuted when that occurs, and the operator will ask you to begin your comment. Please hang up when your comment is complete. We do have one caller on already. I will go ahead and unmute you. Go ahead and begin whenever you're ready.
Hi, this is Mary Wichter, and I've lived in Sammamish 20 years. I did want to take a little bit of time tonight to talk about the 2021 work plan item of Development Regulations Phase 2. Originally, City Council had adopted in 2018 and kind of did a whole bunch of updates until 2019, and new development regulations had been adopted by the 15th of May. And through the legislative process, the Planning Commission in 2019 and 2020 put forth some really excellent guidelines to aid and focus the priority of the work and topics and changes that were considered. So I thank you for that. So I actually wanted to echo your own work back to you. For Development Regulations Phase 2, which comes after Phase 1, the Planning Commission had set the objective for it to be improve outcome of housing being built in Sammamish to be more in line with community expectations and character. And then as part of that, I remembered that there were 2 litmus tests that had come up with to say, does the topic or proposed code changes create the potential to improve housing stock in ways that the community looks and wants to see it improved? And then the second litmus test was, does the topic or proposed code changes provide missing or necessary tools to help staff influence the outcome through the permit review process? Plus, does it improve the clarity and usability of the city's code for all users? So I thought those were really fabulous, and I would like to suggest that there be 2 more litmus tests offered for your consideration. The third litmus test would be for critical areas and shorelines, and these would occur all the way down to the individual or lot or the parcel project, and it would happen regardless of whether drainage review is required or not. So the third litmus test I suggest is, are there more stringent requirements in the context of environmentally sensitive areas than just what is to be required and applied for flat, cleared land, for example, at the top of the plateau? And then the fourth litmus test would be for existing lots for just a single family versus a short plat, which is 2 to 9 lots, or a long plat or major subdivision, which is 10 plus lots. And that fourth litmus test I suggest is there any missing requirements or extension of new changes that really must apply to any single family home, whether a person's building on a vacant lot, whether they're remodeling, or if the area is being redeveloped, and not have it just be applied for short and long plat subdivisions. And this is very important because over 95% of the city of Sammamish is a single-family residential area for development. I ask that you do not simply just focus on 2 lots or larger development, because they already have stronger regulations and code through other things for the state and federal. And also that our town center and other centers only take about 3% of the city, so it's really important that we focus on all single-family lots. And then if you're not familiar with it, what critical areas are, those are areas that the Growth Management Act says that you have to do special protections for. You have to identify them and protect them. And those are hazard areas including erosion, landslides, steep slopes, and seismic, which are geologically hazardous areas. There's also critical aquifer recharge areas, or CARAs. There's wetlands, streams, and fish and wildlife habitat corridors and conservation areas. And then there's also things that exist in the city from King County days in code called native growth protection easement areas. And then you already know about our trees and forests, and vegetation needs a lot of protecting. So I look forward to the research that you do, the insights that you have, considering this information and discussing on these possible additional litmus tests and their applicability to the Development Regulations Phase 2, which again, as Evan said, is slated to come to Planning Commission March 4th. Thank you for your time today, and I did email information in with 3 attachments from your own work, so you could look at it for consideration.
Thank you, Mary. We do have a second caller. I will go ahead and unmute you. Please begin your comment whenever you're ready. Please begin by stating your name and where you live for the record.
Good evening, Planning Commissioners. Paul Stickney here in Sammamish. welcome to Karen, Malcolm, and TC as new commissioners. I was not going to call in, but I decided to call in because Commissioner Amato brought up an interesting topic about comp plan amendments. And your previous caller you heard from tonight, Mary Wichter, and I have been attending Planning Commission meetings for a number of years, and we sat through many meetings that I believe were in 2017 that went through a complete overhaul of, Title 24 to work on replacing it with Title 24A. And for reasons I can't recall, that work got paused. But in 2019, it got finished. And I don't have this off the top of my head. I just did a search and I found the ordinance for this. It is ordinance 2019-483. And the meetings in the Planning Commission were in February and March of 2019. And the city did the city repealed Title 24 and replaced it with Title 24A, and there was a lot of public and staff involvement, and some good changes were made that made it more clear, straightforward, took out some of the issues Commissioner Amato was talking about. And as I have some experience with how sort of all the pieces fit together, I'll just add a couple ad lib comments. It is true over the years that probably more docket items than not do not get advanced. That is true. However, the overall process is I think, pretty good right now in that there's a fair amount of, background work that is done by staff during August. It comes to the commission in September, October. And if it gets moved on, the council does have time to make a mid-buy adjustment. And also, I've observed that for the most part, if some topic is cream that rises to the that funds can be found. So in general, it's my opinion, and you may want to ask Mary about this offline if she agrees, that the new Title 24A is improved and is a pretty good overall process in handling comp plan docket items. And again, welcome to the two new commissioners tonight. And that's it.
Thank you, Paul. Looks like that was our last caller. I will hand it back to Chair Boffman.
Thanks, Jackie. Yeah, I will reiterate again what Paul said. Welcome to Karen and TC. Glad to have you here. Looking forward to the day we can do this in person. All right. Evan or Kelly, anything else for this evening? Heads are shaking no. Okay. Our next meeting, February 18th, we are going to start talking about stormwater, it looks like. So make sure you take a look at that in advance when the packet comes out.
And one last thing, if you haven't RSVP'd for the 2s and 3s Planning Commission to discuss the implementation strategies, if you could please do so. We are hoping to have those meetings next week so we can prepare for the March 4th meeting. It's really important that we are able to sit down with each of you and go through those so that we can bring a comprehensive list, again, to the March 4th meeting.
All right. I will warn our two new commissioners that it's quite rare that our meetings are this short. They're reasonable, but not usually this reasonable. So just to set expectations. All right, I think we're done. If someone would move to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Great. It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn this evening. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Great. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.